A very good morning and welcome World Thalassemia Day today. Today is 8th of May, World Thalassemia Day. Now, why is it so important? We have already explained why it is so important, and we have so many patients these days with thalassemia who need treatment, who need to be diagnosed before they know about it. This is very important. Why prevention is important? Because we want to reduce the number of thalassemia patients in the world. So we want to protect the next generation. Say around 40 to 50 million carriers are present in India today. 1 in every 4 have the risk of both parents carrying the gene. And the cost of doing a test is just 1,000 rupees. And in lieu of that, the suffering is a lifetime suffering and a transgeneration suffering. So why not prevent it before the sufferer knows about it? So that is why an obstetrician is here on the podium to prevent the prevalence, incidence of thalassemia. So what is thalassemia? My previous speaker has beautifully explained. This is a genetic blood disorder. It is an autosomal recessive disorder, and it causes reduction in the oxygen carrying capacity of red blood cells, and its severity depends on the gene which is affected. She has explained about alpha and beta thalassemia. Beta thalassemia is more common in our country. So we are going to concentrate on that to detect the number of patients that we can pick up before they know about it. This is very, very important because we can prevent the prevalence to a large extent if we can pick up the patient from the society. Patient will not come to you with a stamp that I am a thalassemia carrier, I am a thalassemia major patient. Patient is in front of you, perhaps shrouded in mystery. So we are with the scanner on to find out the number of people who are either thalassemia traits, carriers, and they are likely to transmit this to their next generation. So we are here to intercept here, to prevent this transmission. So why it matters? Because it is a lifelong transfusion frequency with a cost of some lakhs per year. And the median survival rate is less than 30 years if there is no bone marrow transplant. So once again, the cost of doing it is around 1,000, and the lifetime and 2 or 3 generations are involved. So we have to break the chain here, and now and today. So we all know how it is inherited, autosomal recessive. So if there is both parents are carriers, this is very important. If both parents are carrier, we have a chance of having a thalassemia major patient in 25% of cases, and 25% will be normal, 50% will be carriers. We are worried about this 25% patients who would be thalassemia major and who will suffer like anything throughout their life and also their next generation, if they go up to the reproductive age at all. And if both parents are normal, 100% normal, no risk. So we are going to find out, say, every individual, if we can scan, then only we can reduce. If you make a cohort, thus we are going to just screen the pregnant patients, we may not be able to stop it so efficiently. So go out in the society, find out in the adolescent group, there had been several programs by the government to pick up these patients at the carrier state. Why at the carrier state? So you can give a reproductive choice to the patient. The partner choice, you can advise the trait or the carrier so that she doesn't land up with a 25% chance of a major thalassemia. This is why it is so very important that you screen in the society. who needs screening, couples planning for marriage or pregnancy, those who have consanguinity of marriages. There is a more chance of this gene getting expressed. This defective gene gets expressed in case of consanguinity of marriages. I hope all of you know what is consanguinity of marriage. There is genetic relations with each other. The partners are genetically linked. Or if they have a family history of thalassemia, and if there is a microcytic anemia on complete blood count, so beautifully displayed by my previous speaker, Dr. Shayantari. Now for the stepwise screening, if you do a peripheral smear with a CBC, you can suspect a trait. Then go for the gold standard treatment, the step 2, finding out the HbA2 and HbF fractions by HPLC method, which is a much more, a very efficient method, but a bit costly. But I think this is the recommendation nowadays so that we can determine the number of cases very effectively. So for prenatal diagnosis, that is for the fetus, we do the DNA analysis. Now, when is it done? If both partners are carriers, you will have to suspect that we have to pick up that 25% cases who will be thalassemia major. Now, how will you do that? You can do it with chorionic villus sampling, which is done in first trimester. So if you can detect that the fetal DNA is telling you that the fetus is thalassemia major, there is the option that whether you will go forward with this pregnancy or not, whether you will terminate this pregnancy or not. This is a very medical legal issue, whether you are going to terminate this pregnancy because this fetus will be growing up with thalassemia major. This is very important that first screening was done. Maybe she has missed the screening in her adolescent age group. She has missed during the premarital stage. And now, after pregnancy, we have detected that she is a carrier and her partner is also a carrier. So, when we have seen that both are carriers, we have to find out whether fetus is affected or not. So, in first trimester, if you have found out that both are carriers, you do a CVS. In second trimester, if you detect, maybe if the patient has come to you at a later stage when you didn't get the opportunity to screen her before, unbooked case, then you go for amniocentesis. All this has a minimal risk of miscarriage also, with CVS around 1%, amniocentesis 0.5%. And there is another test, non-invasive prenatal testing, which is from the maternal blood. We detect the cell-free fetal DNA. So this is a non-invasive test. We are taking the blood from the mother and checking for the cell-free fetal DNA. If that denotes that the fetus is having thalassemia major, this is also very informative, and it also precludes the miscarriage chances. So this is the newer techniques that are employed these days if patient refuses to do other two methods of detection. So the key messages are, carriers are healthy. They are moving about in the society. So to pick them up is our responsibility. Avoid two carriers from marrying. Give them a piece of your mind. Explain to them that if you are going ahead with this partnership, then you might land up with a baby with thalassemia major. Keeping that in mind, make your reproductive choice. Don't be very dogmatic. Be in an emotional way. You can explain this to your both the couple, the partners. So a test before marriage is all that we require, and we have to get through this. We have, as from FOGSI, Federation of Obs-Gynae Society of India, we had tried to do the test in the adolescent age group. and we had faced certain barriers because the parents were not allowing us to do the test because they felt if the girl is detected with thalassemia minor, she will not get a good suitor in marriage. Imagine. So they are not allowing. So come forward, shrug off this stigma, try to explain how important it is to allow us to test it and to detect it. So early detection makes a good informed choice with discussion with the couple. So the role of healthcare providers, we have to do a routine CBC at first antenatal visit, counsel when the mean corpuscular volume is low. It should be a non-judgmental counseling. Refer to a genetic counselor if you cannot manage to explain things very clearly to them, and document that she has refused or accepted. This is for medical legal purposes. Government programs are there as National Health Mission, Thalassemia Bal Seva Yojana, state programs, and FOXI has started this program, and this is known as the Project Mukta, and it is heading towards making India thalassemia free. So this is a pledge that we have taken, and we would like to run the show as long as humanity and the human civilization goes on. So putting the protocol to work, suppose a patient has come at 31 years, G2P1, that is she's second gravida, with mild anemia, go for CBC, do our HPLC if you find microcytosis, and get the spouse tested if she is found to be a trait. Fetus is at low risk. If the patient is trait, just 25% chance is that the fetus will be having trait. And so routine antenatal care and iron supplementation may be carried out provided that the serum ferritin level is low. Otherwise, we can go ahead with folic acid supplementation. So the one blood test today can prevent a lifetime of transfusions tomorrow. Universal carrier screening, early prenatal diagnosis, community awareness, and an informed reproductive choice. If you can change your partner for this sake, please go ahead and get this message to the society if required. And in a very emotional way, you have to convince the partners going forward. So that's it. Thank you for your patient hearing.